Don't make faces. Don't make faces. We're live. I think we are live.
We're fun. We're having a good time. I love it. I love it.
We are live. I'm going to play the intro.
Oh, you cut off my last name.
No, you cut it off. It was too long.
Oh, okay.
Find a shorter name. Will.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the live stream. William here. Love strumming.
I'm going to play our intro. And I'm going to do our intro because people ask for it. And what the people want, we give them. From the keyboard to the boardroom, this is the Business of Esports live stream. I am Paul Dawalibi, and I'm joined today by my friend and co-host, William Collis. For those of you who are new to the live stream, this is welcome to the official live stream of esports. I mean, we might as well call it what it is.
Yeah,
what we do here is after we tape the podcast, we cover the less pressing gaming and esports topics and news of the week with the stuff we did cover during the podcast, some of the more fun stuff. But obviously, we're always looking at it through a business and C-suite lens. We're always dissecting. We're always analyzing. We're always trying to figure out what the business angle is and looking at the business implications of all of these things happening in the industry. Now, there's no regular viewers of this live stream because it's only the second one we've done. But if you tuned in last week and you're tuning in this week, let it be known we love you. And
yeah.
Please continue to tune in.
Thanks for supporting us while we figure out this new content format. This is pilot number 2. I'm always blown away that it is live, though. I'm always like, oh, like I have to watch what I say because you and I the goal here. Yeah,
you have to watch what you say on the podcast too.
I guess that's true. The goal is to be unfiltered, and I want to be clear because I don't want this live stream to come across as like the bits that are left behind from the podcast. That's not it at all. There's just a lot of topics that just don't necessarily make sense to talk about in a live stream format that we think maybe benefit more from people actually asking us questions, or the Paul and I think is important that maybe we agree too much on. And, we kind of look for the viewers to catalyze things between us. Because again, I mean, I think part of what makes the podcast fun is we disagree. But sometimes we just agree too much and neither one of us will agree to take the other side. So,
I mean, William, we already have some comments. This one was super flattering until I saw the commenter's name. Oh my God, cool. But he's easily amused.
That is heartbreaking. But it does speak to a clear fan segmentation. Like
Adam's excited we're back on this week. Thank you, Adam, for tuning in. Thank you for being there last week too.
Yeah, you're loyal, man.
And Might Be Cam as well.
Cam.
Might Be Cam was a big proponent of us playing at some point on the live stream, which we're gonna have to figure out how to do that.
That's my hot take with Paul. I'm waiting for us. I have Valorant open right now on my desktop, so we can just jump in and I can show you exactly how bad I am.
No, we don't want to watch just you playing Valorant.
No, we don't. Guys, that's the secret is like you might like nobody wants to see how bad I am at games. Like, and it's true. Like, believe me, my wife doesn't want to see that. And if she doesn't want to see it, the bar is not cleared. You know what I mean? Like,
William, what do you want to start with this week? You want to start with silly or you want to start with serious?
Ooh, can we do silly? I want to keep it lighthearted to kick things off.
Okay, let's start with a story. Actually, it's kind of two stories in one, but I thought they were both amusing. One of them was here. Hold on, I'll try and close all the things here. 80% of people have played games while working. Was the headline here, and managers averaged more time per week gaming than others, with nearly 1 in 10 playing a game during an in-person meeting. 10% of people, that means in a meeting, are playing a game. that seems really weird to me. I've never actually been in a meeting with someone playing a game. Have you?
I mean, now I'm sort of thinking back and being like, maybe I have, and I just didn't realize it, But this is like my whole thing is like, no wonder you suck at League. Like, come on, guys. Like, if you're trying to do League of Legends in your meeting, like, come on.
I want to tie it to this one too. 80% of gamers eat or drink while playing.
That's another one.
So 80% are playing while they're working, and 80% are eating or drinking while they're playing. It sounds like a total mess. You're working, you're playing, you're eating, you're drinking. Maybe we should be doing less at the same time. I don't know.
I don't know. Although, to be very fair, like, I'm curious. I actually love to drink, like, have beer and play video games. I just wonder for like the people who are live and, and commenting. I'm curious, like, am I alone in that? Like, I mean, I'm guessing I'm not, but like, a lot of times I find I have two different gaming modes, right? I have like regular serious gaming mode, which I would like put in line with like queuing up a Darren Aronofsky movie. Like, I know it's going to be big, impactful, and intense. It's also going to break my heart, and I'm probably not going to feel good about myself at the end, right? Whereas I have another mode that's like tuning into junk TV mode, where I'm going to pop a beer, hang out with buddies, and it doesn't really matter if I win or lose. It's the people I'm grouped with, and I really think, even though I will often play the same game two different ways, I'm two very different customers or users in that moment. And I don't know, I'm just curious if other people do the same thing. I don't know, Paul, I get the sense you're always serious, right? Like,
I would never actually drink like alcohol. Well, I mean, I don't drink alcohol in general, but
yeah,
I would never, like, it slows your reflexes.
Oh, you're a mess. Like,
you can't
after
play.
2 sips, you're over. I mean,
no, but like water's a big one. I mean, might be Cam said water is crucial. Yeah. And on Twitch, you have the hydration bot, that reminds the Twitch streamer to keep drinking.
Yep.
But to me, this says there's a massive untapped market here. Like, why have we not seen more gaming drinks, gaming food products, like gaming specific, not Bud Light doing an ad for gamers, but a really gamer specific product? Like, I would love to be able to snack on something, but not have to wash my hands, like the oils from the snack,
Yeah.
On a mouse. To me, that's like my OCD. I would have to throw that mouse away. Literally, I couldn't use it if I got oil on it. I just think, where are the snacks for gamers?
I think it's the biggest open area in esports. Like, a lot of the things that come out try to be like G Fuel, right? They try to be gamer performance supplements. I don't even think it's about performance. I think it's just a snack for gaming. Like, it doesn't crunch, so you can eat on team chat and not piss people off, right? Like, to your point, it doesn't like it's not sticky, so your mouse doesn't get all gross. There's that, but like, I mean, I also think, like, the reality is these standard like grocery store shelf items, it's actually difficult to build out the following and the demand for them, right? Like, it's not quite straightforward. And actually, I suspect part of the reason why we've seen issues with it is because of distribution, because most of these items have to go through an intermediary. And it's probably still a bit of a hard lift to convince like a Costco to carry, gamer Funyuns or whatever. You know what I mean?
Maybe not, right, William? Maybe that's the new business model here. Maybe it's direct to consumer. You don't need, like, why do you need a grocery store? It's not like the gamer is going out to the grocery store, most likely. As long as you can buy it from Amazon, chances are you're going to reach that gamer. Am I playing to too many stereotypes here, or is that?
No, I think a lot of people don't shop at grocery stores anymore. I mean, that's one of the wonderful democratizations that's happened with, I think online shopping, as you can criticize it all you want for what it's done in terms of consolidating buyer power, but it has opened up shelf space to suppliers massively, right? It used to be in the supermarket, there were 2 rows that mattered, and everything else after that was store brand or filler for discount shoppers, right? And now you can list anything on Amazon, and it's pretty easy to find you if people want to look specifically for that category. I mean, it cuts both ways. Amazon has way more distributor power than a Costco ever did. It's scary how much leverage they have, but at the same time, like, they can carry more things. They have an effective inventory They have an effectively infinite inventory size. That's the triple I was looking for.
Look, Might Be Cam says subscription box, which I think is a good idea. I'm surprised no one's doing it. But Adam's suggesting some real options here. Lager of Legends, the beer of esports. I like it. That should be in the subscription box. And Chips of Duty, modern crunch fare. Why has no one done this?
Honestly,
Seriously though,
we should just do this. Like, there are so many parody brands you could launch around this. I feel like this is like a whole Onion style like comedy thing. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Health Mania stamina
potions. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I'm old enough to remember that Squaresoft did launch a soft drink called Elixir, which was your health potion from Final Fantasy. Does anyone else remember that? Like,
does it still exist? Like, you can still buy it?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody bought it, full stop. But I still, honest to God, I think I still have an unopened can of it. Like, I literally think I put a can on a shelf, and like, if I go through like my box of like William from 2006, like, I will find it. Like, oh my God.
Adam, don't be surprised if the Business of Esports ends up launching a subscription box of snacks with Chips of Duty in it. I like that modern crunch fare.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Let's talk about Mike P. Cam said he's 22 here, William. No clue what you're talking about. William is the master of references that no one gets. So I mean, if that's news to you.
And this is filtered. This is filtered, guys. Like
let's move on. Let's talk about another silly, because you wanted to start with silly. So let's start with all the silly stuff. Mm-hmm. Kippo raises $2 million for a dating app for gamers. I mean, we knew this was coming, right? You and I had even talked about it in the context of some of the other things we were doing together.
Yeah, I mean,
we knew this was coming.
No joke.
The question is, does the world need this?
Well, look, I strongly understand the need to connect around a common interest, right? That's very effective. That's what dating app. And by the way, so actually, full disclosure, I'm kind of super interested in dating apps from a matchmaking perspective, because one of my friends from a professor who was a close friend in business school, Hannah Halliburta, was kind of like one of the first visionary people to talk about dating platforms and two-sided markets. And I just like loved her research. I thought it was fascinating. So I'm personally just very interested in how you solve these pairing problems. I think it's like a cool area of study, right? And it is definitely true that a lot of dating apps have been very successful pinpointing a common interest, like, or a common background, like sharing a network of schools, right? Sharing common interests on Facebook. Those are Hinge, and I think it's like Bumble. I can't remember what they're called. I don't know. But like, there are all these niches. And the reality is, consumers, like, if you are looking for love, it is the most important thing in your life. So it is very easy to convince consumers to try a new dating app platform, because the upside is like, you find your true love. Like, that's pretty much infinite, right? So it's actually very easy to drive trial. What's really interesting about this, and what I suspect their problem is going to be, most dating platforms, what they struggle with is not user adoption, but equivalent adoption on both sides of the market, right? Like, the classic example is dating apps can get tons of dudes on. They can't get enough women to balance out the market supply, right? Because again, any two-sided market, you need both a threshold on each side, and you need the markets to grow in relative proportion. And yeah, like I, the good news is, look, women are a significant portion of gamers right now, between 35 and 45%, right? So, by some studies that I've seen. So clearly it should be possible to get to a balanced market equilibrium here. I think the challenge these guys are going to have is, do women, and sorry if this is stereotyping or something, I mean, people call me out in the chat if it is, I'm generally curious like what people think, but do women want to affiliate gaming as the primary method for partner selection as men? Right. Like
that's the
some
idea.
Might, yeah. And obviously that's very heterocentric of me, how I just phrased that remark. And I, apologize. But I mean, just as a general, like I suspect you're going to have issues on a two-sided market here around how many people want to pair up on each side. But nonetheless, I think it is a super smart idea. And I'm stunned you didn't see Tinder do a spinoff, or one of the existing platforms do spinoffs based on this.
I mean, as an investor, I hate marketplaces in general. Right? You have to do two sales, like you said. Making one sale is hard enough. Making two sales is really hard. Yeah. And fundamentally, you need to make two here. You need to convince men to get on the platform. You need to convince women to get on the platform. and you need to convince both of them that there's value in staying on the platform. In other words, there has to be success. It's just so hard. Now, dating is definitely easier because there's unlimited demand almost for wanting to find love. But as an investor, marketplaces always scare me because you need that critical mass of people on both sides. Like,
dude, as someone who built a two-sided marketplace with Gamer Sensei, it is really hard. It is so hard to get over that threshold. And like, the thing is, everybody looks at marketplace businesses that are in steady state and they're like, oh my God, these businesses are incredible, right? Like they just build themselves, and it is true. They have amazing network effects when they get going. But I mean, like, dear God, guys, try being like the first user on this platform. Like, just imagine, like, those early market problems are horrific. Right. Even the first 1,000 users on the platform, it's hard. You can't do any of the things you want to do around matching and pairing. Right.
Yeah, but to me, the platform is going to reflect reality. Right. Like, getting on Kippo, in my mind, is probably going to be like going to PAX. Right. Yeah. There's 1,000 guys for every woman. No, there's no woman walking around alone. It's always surrounded by, 50 guys.
And again, we're being very kind of heterocentric about how we talk about
this. Just to simplify the problem here.
Yeah, just to simplify the problem. Like, I want to kind of call that out. Like, we're just, there are obviously other nuances here. But this is going to be a tough one. But I really hope it works. Now, the really interesting thing is when you have people dating other people because they're higher level in the game and they want their help. That's what I'm waiting for. Like, I have my level 1 human mage and I'm queuing up looking for like a 60 warrior to hard carry me, and I'll pretend to date them as long as they can.
Are we going to get the gamer equivalent of catfishing, William? Like someone who advertises that they're like masters in Overwatch or something, and then you realize they're plat and you go, well, geez, what did I sign up for here?
Oh, that would be so good. Like, you're like, I can see myself writing my profile now. I'm like, I'm a Challenger League of Legends player. Like technically I should be. I mean, time adjusted, I'm basically Challenger.
Everyone inflating their elo,
Yeah, exactly. This is a fun
Might Be
one.
Cam said would now be the best time for this to launch as well. Post-COVID, will everyone want to be online?
I'm not a believer in that. I think people are desperate to get out of their house and have human experiences right now. And I think as soon as things loosen up a little bit, the drive to just getting out in the world is going to actually make, some of the problems tougher for businesses like this in the short term.
Let's move to something a bit more serious. How about that?
Oh, I love it. Please.
Trying to pick one that we didn't cover that was really good. Yeah, this one we didn't cover. It's a bit more serious, and I think it's worth a discussion, William.
Please.
Ninja announcing his own Fortnite competition. So he's launching this thing called Ninja Battles featuring Fortnite, live competition series, 60 of the world's best Fortnite players, and $400,000 prize pool. It's all on Mixer. So we've seen him evolve, right? From pro gamer, streamer, kind of the poster boy for gaming in general, mainstream sort of icon ads person, and now tournament organizer. Like, I think I was a little bit disappointed when I saw this. It felt like a bit of a step back. I get why he's doing it. Like, I think I get why he's doing it.
Fair.
But to me, his brand is so much bigger than this. This seems like small potatoes, does it not?
I think it's the opposite. I think this is super, super smart, because what's the biggest constraint on Ninja's growth right now? His time, right? Like, his time. Like, literally, the thing you expect to consume with Tyler Blevins is Tyler Blevins, right? And so if I were his agent or his strategy manager trying to find ways to take his growth to the next level, I would be looking for projects where you can endorse, where you can host lightly, where you can essentially leverage the power and the credibility of your name, but not leverage a lot of your time. And I think this is brilliant, right? Because if you think about what Ninja has to do here, she has to shoot a little intro video where he's like, hi, I'm super excited to be streaming today, with this, right? Probably a lot of it can be done pre-canned. It will obviously be live. He'll have to do some stuff, but fundamentally, he's shifting content generation under his name to all those people listed in that article, right? To Bugga and whoever else. I can't remember the list. Like, it was a long list.
There's like 60
right?
people.
Yeah. And I also like the way, and this is why I think he's so well managed, it's not Fortnite Battle Royale competition by Ninja. It's Ninja Battles featuring Fortnite. This is clearly being positioned as a platform that's going to take other games into it. And I think that really speaks to sort of the longevity and planning that's going behind this. I think the agent or whoever's managing this is asking, what are all the adjacent spaces where I can leverage his brand? And a added bonus, what are the leveragings that don't require his permanent presence, right? And I think this is a wonderful, wonderful one. I mean, also just now the less generous take on this. Mixer wants to launch a Fortnite tournament, and how do they promote it? Well, the best thing about it is Ninja, and why is Ninja first? Because you're not going to say Fortnite tournament on Mixer first when Ninja can be part of the headline, So there is a less charitable view here.
I think my viewpoint is somewhat tainted. I don't know if you remember, I don't even know if it's still on TV, but there was this big budget competition show with The Rock where it was like people competing in these physical, and maybe chat can help me because I don't remember the name of the show, competing in these physical challenges. You had to, compete against another guy, American Gladiator style, right? It was kind of like the revival of American Gladiators starring The Rock, right? And I'm a big fan of The Rock. I want to watch this. This looks cool, right?
I do love
The
Rock.
Titan Games. Might be Cam got it. Yeah, Titan Games. And I'm going to get to the Golden Boy thing because that's kind of my point, right? So Titan Games starring The Rock, right? But then you tune into the show and you realize, wait a second, The Rock is on for like 30 seconds, not even at the beginning, like 15 seconds going, welcome to Titan Games. I'm The Rock, And then he kicks it over to the hosts, Golden Boy and some other guy and some woman. Mm-hmm. And it's like 3 other hosts that are doing all the work. It was literally 10 seconds of The Rock at the beginning. And I felt gypped. I felt like, what am I watching here? I tuned in to see Titan Games starring The Rock, and I got, this other thing, and The Rock just sort of slapping his brand on it.
Yeah,
I worry that this goes in that direction, right? It's like Ninja at the beginning going, hey, I'm Ninja, like, have fun. And then it's like a completely different production where you never see Ninja.
Yeah. But the problem that you have with Titan Games is you realize when The Rock isn't there, it's not that fun watching. It's an old formula show that's kind of dated and not up to the modern times, right? Whereas I think with this, you are going to have a lot of people who tune in for Ninja, and then Ninja's like, I'm pleased to announce the first round. See ya. And people are going to be like, what? No Ninja. But then it's going to be backed by top tier Fortnite competitors and personalities. And I think what you're going to see is if the content is good, it's okay if Ninja or whatever the marquee brand is just a funnel. I really believe that. You know what I mean?
I wonder if Mixer has a bigger strategy, William. Do we see an announcement in a month from now, Shroud Battles featuring Apex Legends or featuring Valorant?
I would hope so, because I think Mixer, if I were Mixer right now, I would be freaking out, right? Because I just went all in on what, by the way, for my money, was the smartest move of all time. Just poaching the best talent you can to give instant credibility to your platform. And it hasn't really grown the platform, right? So now you're stuck with this incredibly difficult position. You're like, okay, I thought the reason why Twitch worked was the quality of the streamers with big followings. I just got my whole organization to get massively leveraged against the strategy of poaching top tier talent. It really didn't do anything. So not only did I just damage my credibility with management and spend a ton of my cash that maybe I could have used for other initiatives, right? But I clearly don't know how the market works, because the thing I would have bet everything on didn't actually activate. And to be honest with you, I'm right in the boat with those. If I'd been Mixer, I would have done the exact same thing. I thought they were so smart. I was ready to I literally, the day of this announcement, I was like, where's that Microsoft stock? Like, here I go, And the reality is, I just think today we still don't really know what drives live stream platform stickiness. I truly believe that. Like, I still don't know what that is. If you please, I asked this last live stream. If somebody can tell me why Twitch is stickier than Mixer, I want to know, because I don't see it. I'm lost, you know?
Mike B. Cam says, I think it's pretty big potatoes. Fortnite's comp scene is in a very dull state. Look, I called the death of competitive Fortnite esports a long time ago. They have died. This is entertainment. This is not competitive esports. This is not competitive Fortnite. This is putting on a show. This is more entertainment. Look, I don't think this fixes Fortnite's competitive esports problem. And I agree it's in a dull state, but I think it's in the state it's going to stay in. Like, to me, we'll see a lot of Fortnite in entertainment settings. More and more of it. If this works, you can bet it's not going to be just Ninja doing this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But like, also, if you're Fortnite, so just play it the other way, your Epic Games, right? Like, did you not just win, like, big time? Because you've sort of said, I think what drives this game is casual players and kind of casual viewership. And I'm not really interested in making a hardcore esports scene, right? It's going to be a marketing expense. It's entertainment, right? And now in the old paradigm, they had to put up, what was it, $30 million for a world championship, invite people, pay sponsors. And in this new paradigm, they're basically just like, we're not going to do anything. And other people are doing it for them. And instead of a cost, they're getting all the lift of the marketing for their game, right? With none of the cost center. Like, I mean, can't you argue, like, there's a view here where it's not these guys stepped away from esports. It's these guys recognized with a game as popular as they had, if they wanted to go after a casual market, it didn't make sense to double down on tuning for the competitive scene. And so actually, for non-core competitive esports, it might be publishers of large titles. It might be better for publishers of large titles to step back, you know, to let the community fill the void. I don't know. It's interesting. But I definitely think for publishers who view esports as marketing, which I think it might be fair to argue Fortnite and Epic fits into, community-driven structures could be better. I will say that. I think that's probably pretty safe to call.
William, let's move on, actually, because this one, I think, is going to get a lot of conversation.
Let's do it.
A lot of speculation, where we might end up being very right or very wrong.
Well,
it's an article that I don't.
The good news is if we take both sides of the
about
argument, Paul. By the way, the viewers haven't known. Our secret is if we both take the opposite side, one of us is always right.
I mean, let's face it; it's mostly me being right. The viewers know. The viewers know what's up here.
They do. They do. They do. I was right that one time. About you being right. I get that one right.
The headline of this article from Sifted, I saw no one talking about this, but I thought it was fascinating. Bohemia Interactive denies report that it's being acquired by Tencent. Reports that Chinese media conglomerate Tencent has purchased a majority stake in Czech gaming studio Bohemia Interactive has been denied. So you have this gaming studio, Bohemia Interactive. For those who don't know, they made games like DayZ and Arma 3. Arma 3 at the core of, PUBG, and like PUBG was initially a mod for Arma 3. And there were these reports that had come out that Tencent had purchased a majority stake in the business, which was not surprising because Tencent seems to be buying up literally every game developer of any repute or note on the planet. And now Bohemia has come out and actually denied it and said, we don't know who's spreading this rumor, but it's absolutely not true. And this fascinated me, William. Like, how does this happen in your mind? How does this go down? Where are these rumors coming from? Who do you think is spreading them? Is there some more nefarious or more underhanded play here by Tencent?
I mean, it's possible. So, like, I can think of two interpretations here. The one I think is true is that Tencent is buying these guys, and it's a deal in principle, but the long form isn't signed. Somebody leaked something, so you have to deny in a situation like this because it technically isn't true. But this is a real deal that's coming down the pipe that got out early before it should have, right? That's possibility one. Possibility two, if you want to go crazy speculation land, is look, Tencent may have a little bit of a problem in that the things it wants to acquire might be obvious, right? Like buying more of Epic games, they probably want to do that, And so as a result, the mere fact of like a 10-cent acquisition premium may already be getting priced into some stocks that make logical targets, right? Certainly, I think, you can argue, particularly with some of the private companies or some of the private valuation, like it's possible, right? And so you could argue that getting disinformation in the market about what they're buying and when they're buying it, and sort of burning some of the people who just chase the 10-cent money, is a smart move to reset, to give them a little bit more strategic flexibility on the valuation side. Again, that argument I made doesn't sort of hold water because they're buying private companies, not public companies, right? Typically, which is a lot harder for the sort of premium to get baked in and other things. But fundamentally, like, you could see, if you wanted to make this more of a story than I think it is, you could argue it might be in Tencent's benefit to float fake takeover rumors, because the takeovers they are going to do are so obvious.
To me, what stood out was the rebuff, though, like the weirdly very kind of public denial. It almost seems as if is the market starting to develop an allergy to Tencent? Where game developers are wary now of Tencent's motives. Maybe they know things. Maybe they've seen how Tencent manages the businesses that they acquire, what happens to those game studios after the fact. I don't know. I'm speculating, but it's like when you see such a denial like this publicly to these rumors, because they could have just let the rumors go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably no harm to their business. Like, if anything, it makes them a more enviable business from a market standpoint.
Yeah, that's actually true, because the typical response is you just say no comment, right? Like, if it is a deal leaking early, you're just like, yeah, we can't confirm or deny that rumor. No, but
if anything, it's like, hey, yeah, well, we're in demand. People like us. Why would you deny that? Maybe it's some kind of public stand against the Tencent kind of domination of every gaming developer
or
on the
there
planet.
is another acquirer, right? Like, there are two, maybe this is a studio that has 2 or 3 suitors. Tencent is one of them, right? And they're trying to preserve, like, they want to immediately head off the perception that other bidders are being used as a stalking horse to raise the 10-cent bid. That's another way this could play, right?
How many are left like this, targets for Tencent, William?
Not many. That's what I mean. Like what do you, if you're Tencent right now, okay, let's go to our chat. Let's use the live chat. If you're Tencent right now, name me 5 companies you haven't already invested in that you can invest in that fit your thesis, right? Like, I'm just really curious.
I think 5's being really ambitious. I think if we got 1 or 2.
I mean, like, other than obvious ones, like they could buy electronic, other than like obvious, name me 5 non-public, name me 2 non-public companies that Tencent could buy.
Like game developers.
Yeah, game developers.
I think that's a tough one. I can't think of any names.
I mean, I can think of one. Platinum. Maybe they'd buy Platinum. P-Star.
Did they not?
Did they? Did they already buy them? Is what I mean. Like, with Tencent, they might.
Yeah, I think they did. Like a few months ago, even. I think they might.
That's like so embarrassing, because that almost, the fact I was so wrong there proves the point that they've already bought everything that's left to buy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't think there's much left.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Amazon.
Sure. I love that company.
Because we talked on the podcast that we just recorded, which will come out this week. We spoke a lot on the podcast on Valorant and the Valorant launch and where we thought that was going to go. And obviously that got most of the attention this week. But there was this article on Business Insider about Amazon launching their game and it appearing to be a major flop already, this game Crucible. And they found this confused Jeff Bezos picture, which I guess is appropriate. But is it really a flop, William? Look, the numbers they cite in the article is that there's fewer than 5,000 players, right? But Amazon put no marketing behind this whatsoever. We talked about that last week. And so, like, is it a flop if you don't care? Well, if you just throw something out there and you sort of don't care, can we even categorize it as a flop?
This, we said like a podcast ago that like maybe the reason why Amazon wasn't supporting it was because it wasn't a very good game. And they'd accepted that it probably wasn't a title worth launching, right? And I think if you look at the reviews that are in market, they're pretty negative overall.
No, they're good.
Certainly
the reviews are good.
Not the ones I've seen.
I'm telling you, the reviews for Crucible are better than the reviews for Valorant.
Well, that is a separate issue. I think that's to do with the Valorant review bombing that's going on.
Hang on. I'm going to look up the Metacritic score for Crucible.
Look, all I know is the reviews I have seen for Crucible have been very critical and not positive. And granted, I'm not reading. I didn't make it my day job to read every single. Yeah.
Just FYI, Crucible and Valorant have basically the same Metacritic score. Just FYI.
Okay. Well, there we go.
They're within margin of error.
But isn't the Valorant Metacritic score surprisingly low, like 4.5 or something?
Valorant's 5.1.
Yeah.
Crucible 4.8.
Okay. Well, two things. One, the Valorant score is being driven by a lot of factors that have nothing to do with game quality. It's essentially a review bombing campaign for it, right? But all right,
that's your opinion.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
We have no proof of that, just to be clear. Because look, I played Valorant 3 times. I'm the biggest fan of shooters on the planet. I played thousands of hours of CSGO in my life over the last decade. And I played Valorant and I'm like, it's okay. Like I play it with friends, but I'm not like dying to get on my PC to go play it.
We're going to come back to that. But just finishing this thing. I think either way, pretend Valorant's reviews weren't there. 4.8 is not a great Metacritic score, right?
Yeah.
That's not great. It's not a great game, right? I think that's fair to say. And look at what Might Be Cam says in the chat. Extremely shallow, nothing new. I think that's
Adam says, I love the game. I don't love how nobody is playing it.
Oh, Adam, welcome.
So who's right?
Like life.
Adam, this is why we have a 4.8.
Welcome to Heroes of the Storm and what I have lived since 2016. Thank you, my friend, for joining my world. And let me tell you what will happen. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Paul prepares these every week. Thanks, Paul. Oh, that's cold. That's cold. Look. Like I'll tell you what's going to happen, buddy. It's only worse from here. The pain only gets more visceral every time you open your friends list. It's a ritual of suffering. But anyway, my whole thing for this is, why did they launch the game? Like, Amazon can do a lot of things and can afford to fail here 3,000 times over, right? But one thing Amazon can't take back is the hit to their credibility by not launching a good first game. And it wasn't like, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't think Crucible has been in development for 6 years. I think it had like a 3-year dev cycle to it. Like, it could have baked longer. I'm not saying 3 years is that's long for a lot of games, but like Valorant baked for 7 years. Again, not saying that's the pinnacle of all game design, but they had the money and the resources to leave this one in the hopper, right? Why? Why would you have your first game not be a slant? Or at least I could see if it was like a 7.8 and you thought you had a 9. I get that. But at a 4.8, you have to have known the game wasn't that good. And you have to have known the game was coming into an incredibly crowded market. And by the way, you have to have known the game was coming up against really strong new competition. Even if you didn't know Valorant was going to pull forward their release date, first of all, there were rumors in the industry. And second of all, you have to have known it was going to be a semi-closed beta. Like, why? Why?
Maybe they just didn't care, William. Maybe this is the paradox of brand affinity with the publishers. In my view, Amazon had nothing to lose. Zero. This doesn't hurt Amazon's credibility at all. If they come out with a great game next year, I will not be like, oh man, I don't know about Amazon. They don't make such good games. I will have forgotten about Crucible next year. Never mind. But stuck it to them. But hold on. Like this is kind of this paradox where you take a Riot or a Blizzard. If they make a bad game, right, it's game over. Like, people don't forget for years. No one's going to let EA live down Anthem for years. No one's going to let EA live down the debacle with Star Wars Battlefront. No one's going to let Blizzard lived down Diablo on mobile, no, like there are these tragedies that stick to the publishers that have positive reputations. Amazon has no reputation. There's no brand affinity to Amazon, the game publisher. So they had nothing to lose. I think they just didn't care.
Yeah, but how much of that, Paul, is your perception of what Amazon is? Because I think in that statement, you are still perceiving Amazon as a distribution platform. And maybe this is a benefit Amazon gets.
Maybe. I don't even know where to get Crucible. So distribution, I think, might have been part of their problem.
Well, it could have been part of it. Yeah,
where do you go get it?
But Amazon, I'm hoping.
What do I do? Just go to Amazon.com and search Crucible?
Why don't we check it out and see what happens? But that's a great book, by the way. Oh, wow. What is that book doing there? How did that? Oh, well, it was.
How did that?
First of all,
do you want to buy
search result?
Do you want to buy?
How do you not program that in?
A Crucible?
Actually, it is. They did promote it. Look, they did Crucible for up. No, it's right there.
No, where?
Up at the top. There's literally an ad for it right there. Yeah. There it is. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
All right.
It's not as good as the Book of Esports. Go buy it now on Amazon.com.
Yeah, it's www. Also, Crucible is on Steam, which also feels odd to me. Why put it on Steam? Why?
Well,
like I get that you need reach and you're not trying to play favorites. You don't want Amazon to be perceived as a kingmaker platform. It's a kingmaker platform. That's what it is. But I don't get it. I don't get why you would burn your first launch like this, because the cost of killing or incubating this project for another year and maybe having a hit for Amazon is minor. But they have to. I get the argument they don't even care. Fine, they don't even care. Then don't launch the game. Don't launch the game. That's a very, believe me, it's easier not to launch than to launch. It would have been way easier to be like, delete.
Well, here's Adam's thought. I bet they're using it as a trial error run for when they release their Lord of the Rings MMO. If their first game was Lord of the Rings and it went bad, it could be very bad for their TV show on Prime.
Damn, Adam, we should have you on the podcast. That is actually really smart. I actually could agree with that, Paul. What do you think?
Maybe. I just don't think they didn't need the trial and error run. Right? Like, what does this tell them? What did they trial here?
Yeah, or why not just do a beta for Lord of the Rings? There's a way to trial and error a game launched.
Is going to be a good game or it's not. I'm not sure how Crucible had any impact here. Like, what were they testing that they didn't already know?
I don't know.
And Crucible is such a small, 5,000 players. I doubt they've learned much. It's not like, oh, we need to learn how to scale servers to manage 5 million players, so let's launch a game first. They didn't learn that.
That's a fair point too. Like there can't be a lot of organizational learnings they're getting from a title this scaled. Yeah, I don't know. This one is a mystery to me. Like if anybody at some point a year from now, we're going to get like a great Dean, expose on like what happened. You know what I mean? Like why Crucible didn't work or what the line. There's got to be some logic here because I don't think Amazon is dumb, right? Like I don't think they would just yeah, it's not like somebody just accidentally clicked the launch game button and they're like, oh, well, don't stop it now. Yeah, I'm going to think on this one. This is
they're lulling us into this feeling of like they're a non-player. And then one day it'll be the only game in town.
I mean,
we'll wonder how we played games anywhere else. We will wonder how anyone else made games. Like there has to be some 10-year Bezos plan where gaming happens and is owned by Amazon.
I mean, maybe. Well, maybe it is that they've decided. Okay, all right. This is stupid. It's not true, but I'll throw this out there just because why not? Like, what if they've looked at the economics of the industry and they've seen all the game publishers want to become distribution platforms, right?
Okay.
And maybe they were having trouble getting distribution through Amazon, in part because people were worried that Amazon was going to be a competitive publisher. And so what better way to quell those rumors than publish a bad game? So now you can go, we were talking about that, but look how Crucible went. I mean, we're not gonna, no worries for the near future. I mean, That would be devious. Like devious. I don't know.
So
I don't
they're
think
throwing
that's it,
people off the game developer scent, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't. I mean that.
And like 5 years from now, they'll have a competitor in every category: MMO, MOBA, shooter, all at once.
I mean, wouldn't that be great if you woke up in the morning and Amazon was just did like a riot on you, and they're like, oh, they've all launched right now, like.
I mean, I wouldn't put anything past them. I think they are underperforming in the grand scheme of things in the industry. Twitch is the de facto standard, but I think Amazon as a whole is underperforming given the resources at hand.
They just don't do anything with Twitch. It's like weird to me. Like there's so many amazing Twitch integrations that nobody does, like it's just weird. It's weird for me. Like, why would you not have integrated storefront Amazon functionality into Twitch by now? Like, and I get, look, at the end of the day, Twitch has done super well. And I just said on this podcast, I don't know what's making Twitch work. So maybe there's a great reason not to do it, but it is weird to me. You don't see more coupling of the businesses.
Let's move on here, William. This one's a good one. The inherent exclusivity of cloud gaming will kill it for PC gamers. Think your multiple video streaming subscriptions are bad enough? Just wait until cloud gaming gets up and running.
That's actually pretty sad.
The crux of the article is that we're going to see so many cloud streaming services that people will essentially flock back to PC because it's the one true platform, the one to rule them all. And I'm curious what you think about that. Like, is this, we're starting to see it already. You have Sony's, you have Nvidia Zone, you have Stadia, you have Xbox's cloud streaming service, you have Shadow, that's sort of a cloud streaming service. You have, right? Like,
yeah.
You have Steam potentially working on one, Valve, there's rumors. I mean, you're already at like 6. What was that? 6 of them?
Well, and it is a fair point too, that like the appeal of cloud-based streaming is in part how turnkey it is, right? And it's going to feel awfully un-turnkey when every time you want to play a new game, you have to download a new service and pay. You have to start paying your subscription. And candidly, we're sort of there right now with live streaming already. I mean, I remember back when like you had Netflix and that was it. That was like, oh, I got my Netflix, I'm all set. And now, like, I mean, what don't I subscribe to right now? I don't watch that much TV, and I feel like I subscribe to everything.
But you have to, right? Like, if you want that one show that's not on Netflix, but it's on Hulu, well, then you end up subscribing to Hulu.
That's exactly right. Like there's the one show on Disney Plus, Mandalorian, right? So I have a Disney Plus subscription. I'm not going crazy watching Lion King every night, guys. But Mandalorian was a must watch for me. Then whatever, Star Trek Picard was on Hulu or what was it? I mean, it's true. Like
CBS All Access or whatever.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, I'm dabbing away the tears. That was just bad on all fronts.
I don't even watch. I just pretend that doesn't exist.
Don't do it to yourself. Lock that in a closet and swallow the key, my friend, because you never want to see that skeleton.
The Enterprise D over here, you can't really see it, but that was the end of it for me. That's where Star Trek,
and as it should have been for us all, my friend.
No, but there's a real argument here. Like, there, in some ways, the fact that not only have they not lived up to the performance hype, but the fragmented nature of the cloud gaming business already is somehow making the PC, the old platform, all of a sudden seem that much more dominant, that much more fulfilling as a solution.
Yeah.
Like, in some ways, they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is the logical conclusion of that is there's no room in the market for 6 cloud gaming players. Maybe 1, maybe 2. Beyond that, it gets so mixed up and so fragmented that people just turn to PCs and everyone loses. Is that a fair conclusion to draw?
Oh, you're getting the security live stream, guys. Real technical issues. I think it's look, the truth is I think this article is a little unfair because it's looking at an immature market and saying it can't sustain many businesses. Like I think the reality is if cloud gaming fulfilled the promises that it had originally, it could sustain 6 streaming services. Like just leaving the speculation out now. Like I think the reality is if you look at an incomplete product category that barely has enough traction for early adopters right now, like, of course, it doesn't look like a market that can stand competitive diversification. But like, if cloud gaming really was like opening a Netflix account and instantly I played all these amazing games super fast, this would just be like this would just be like Netflix streaming, right? You just accept it. It would just be a toll gate for the content you wanted. End of story.
Mike B. Cam says, does cloud gaming have any sort of footing in the prevention of cheaters?
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that actually for like stat verification and stuff.
It's definitely easier because there's less running on the client side.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of the hacks, a lot of the cheats tend to be data that's inserted on the client side, right? Like it's hard to hack Blizzard's server, but the client that's running on your PC, it's relatively easy to hack.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's got to be better, right? It's got to be better. I think the reality, though, is, and I see Mike B. Cam saying, like, I played Destiny 2 on Stadia, and, like, I played it on Stadia because there were so many cheaters. I hate to say it. My gut, just knowing what I know about how cheating works, is streaming isn't any more secure. There's just less cheating on these platforms because you do have to write your cheating solutions custom to the platforms. And there's not enough demand to cheat on Stadia. Like it's that simple, right?
Yeah,
it's
that's simple. True too. I don't think any of the platforms are cheat proof, and I don't think cloud gaming makes it more difficult to cheat. I just think you see less of it because of the smaller population.
Yeah.
Look, and
for those people who need to cheat, I mean, I've never needed to cheat. I don't know about you, Paul, but we're just naturally aim gods. Like,
look, as of right now, my Apex Legends account is in dispute with EA because they claimed I cheated when I've never in my entire life ever cheated at any game ever. I wouldn't even know how. But somehow they looked at my play and decided I was cheating. I know that's never happened to you, William, but it happened to me.
I don't know what that feeling is like, Paul. I have the opposite. I get offered like the new player bundles and content promotions like 18 months after install. Like they're like I'm like tripping all the flags. They're like, oh, this person must just be trying the game out.
No, but I'm living this now because I was a victim of this false, like these automated technologies that can supposedly spot cheaters.
But therein lies the biggest problem with anti-cheat detection stuff and actually why I hate it as a product category. But it's because look, it doesn't really deter the cheaters, right? Because if I cheat and I'm caught, what do? I make a new account and keep cheating, right?
Yeah.
And it does catch people who are not cheating. And what's happened to you since you were caught? You don't play Apex anymore, right?
Well, I don't because my account's in limbo.
Yeah,
they took away all my rank points and the whole bit, and I'm like,
yeah, because
show me where you detected this because I know I'm not running anything.
So this is why I think anti-cheat stuff and this is why I'm really curious to see what happens with Riot Vanguard, right? Like I just, first of all, I don't believe anti-cheat works. Like, I'm sorry. I know Riot's super smart. Like, I just don't believe you can make working anti-cheat tech today. I really do. And look, I mean, obviously that's an ignorant comment, but like, I think you can make it harder to cheat. But I think that's just a cost benefit analysis for the size of your game, right? And if the game is at all past a certain threshold of popularity, people will find a way to spoof that, right? The other thing I read, interestingly enough, though, is did you see the Valorant Vanguard stuff runs on kernel 0? It has baseline level systems access.
I think they've backed down from that, though.
Have they?
What I heard.
Okay.
Which made me very uncomfortable. Having that kind of access to your system, especially when the company is owned by Tencent, right?
I know.
It's not good old America. Sitting on my PC.
That's right. That's right. We know the server side strategy here. We get it. We get it, Tencent. We know.
All of a sudden, my computer in the middle of the night's turning on farming Bitcoin.
Now we know why you're getting flagged as a cheater in Apex. It's the master strategy of Tencent.
Yeah, they're targeting me. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, guys, for those who are in the live stream, what you want us to end on in terms of a last article here. We have a couple of options. We can talk about Lamborghini getting into esports. We can talk about how the Nintendo Switch became the hottest video game console in America. Or we can talk about how Nexon is going to spend $1.5 billion on global entertainment companies. I want to leave it to you guys to pick the last story that we talk about today. I don't know if anyone has any opinions. William, do you have an opinion one way or the other?
Racing. I like racing a lot, but that's
really?
Yeah.
I've actually never driven in a car with you.
Well, Paul, see, this is the thing. Our friendship is so weird. Like, it's like the most strangest mirror friendship ever, because like all the normal things you do with people, we have never done together. Like, literally, like we could make a list. Like, it's just like, we've never driven in a car. Like, literally, we've gone to conventions and never driven in a car together.
Don't take this the wrong way. You don't strike me as the I like racing type.
Well, okay. Well, two things. One, you're right. I don't really like racing. There, I said it. But two, I think, yeah, I've never gotten cars. I'm sorry. I know that hurts you. I just like, I look at cars and I'm just like, honestly, I look at cars the way I feel like my sisters look at video games, right? Like I'm like, isn't this an incredible video game? And my sisters are like, they're just like it's a box. Like I don't ever rave about a box, you know. But I don't. But I'm super bullish on racing esports. Like so bullish. I think it's going to be the first frontier that cracks the verisimilitude barrier. 100%. It's going to be. It is. We are like 3 years away from never having real races. Like I mean that's a little too fast. But like I think that's your first break point.
Okay, so Might Be Cam said Nexon and Adam said Lambo. So we'll do both. Okay. We'll do both quickly, a little bit like lightning round style. Nexon, let's talk about Nexon. Korean gaming giant Nexon to spend $1.5 billion on global entertainment companies. They think it's a good use of Nexon's cash, and they want to create strong IP across multiple markets. Obviously, it's a Tokyo listed company. Last year, they acquired Embark Studios, a game development studio in Sweden. I mean, you're familiar with Nexon, obviously, William. Your Japanese roots run deep.
Well, it's Korean business, right? But I remember. I mean, Nexon is MapleStory originally, right? I'm not crazy. That was how they got their start with of web. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nexon was MapleStory, right?
Okay.
Somebody in the chat, but I remember the Nexon guys coming to recruit.
MapleStory, Cartwriter, Dungeon Fighter.
Oh, the pantheon, often referred to as the trinity of video gaming. Like that's it. It's just everyone is always in one breath Doom, in another breath Cartwriter.
But this is a big number. Okay,
I know it's a big number,
and it seems as if they wanna be a much bigger player. Like, are we going to see Tencent style strategy from Nexon? If you're them, is that what you go and do? You try and buy up the pieces that Tencent doesn't own?
Look, I think it's a pretty good strategy to copy Tencent. I would, if you came to me and you're like, well, I have two strategies. I can do what Tencent is doing or something else. I like what Tencent's doing, you know, and they're probably pretty well positioned to do it. They have a lot of the same structural advantages. You know, part of the appeal of a Tencent investment is it opens China to you, and Nexon can probably make the same argument for Korea and Japan. Yeah, and at the end of the day, as long as you have the money to buy multiple publishers and games and diversify away the risks, it's a great strategy. Because you said it yourself, you only need 1 out of every 10 to hit. You know what I mean? Like, if 1 out of every 10 of your games is a Fortnite, you don't care, you know? Like, you just, whatever. So
I love this because I see sort of Tencent kind of DNA here in their strategy. And I've always said investing in game developers is a really awful business. It's a really awful business unless you're buying
You
a
could buy
portfolio,
a lot of developers. Yeah.
right? Like you have to buy them all or buy so many of them that you're diversifying your risk and you're making sure you have one winner in that basket. The question is, and Might Be Cam brings up the exact question I wanted to ask: what can Nexon do differently here? Right? How do they differentiate this strategy in any way other than just copying Tencent?
Leverage the Cartwriter brand. It's what we all want. I mean, yeah, the truth
I
is
like racing, William.
Yeah. At the end of the day, diversification, it's tough to have a strategy other than diversification, right? Like if diversification is your strategy, sort of by default, you can't have another strategy because then you're not diversifying. You know what I mean? I mean, that's an understatement. I'm simplifying, but no, there's not a lot they can do other than quickly. Hold on though. Totally inappropriate comment, but I have to make it. Can you scroll up?
Yeah.
Why would the PR firm let that be the image they want Nexon to project of their CEO? Like, that's just such a weird,
what does it say?
Dude, it's just like a grayscale shot and the guy looks like he's in prison in the mirrored side with like the bars. It's just a weird one. I don't know. I always wonder because somebody told me a lot of thought goes into the photography behind the CEO of a company and the message it sends, right? And this is just like, this is so at odds with lovable scaling gaming company. It's weird. And I mean, maybe that's part of it, that they want to come across as disciplined financial backer. I don't know, but it's a weird PR image to me.
I mean, you don't spend $1.5 billion in socks and sandals. Maybe that's what they're trying to say here.
I mean, I'm sure that part of it is like this could be a Goldman Sachs image and they're trying to project stability,
And they're a public company, so you can't look, terribly disheveled. But the mirror to me is there's some introspection here. Maybe Nexon has taken a good look in the mirror and realized, wait a second, gaming is who we are. We need to be really doubling down on this.
Paul, next time on the live stream, we have to do press photos of CEOs and what it says about the company.
Like, you just haven't spent enough time in art galleries, right? You just got to, if you make it up with enough conviction, what you see as the meaning in that photo, people will go along with it, right?
But you totally had me. You're like, they want to reflect that the company is maturing and looking inward before its next phase of growth.
Might Be Cam said he's sitting like a gamer.
Yeah. All right, let's do the one we all wanted. Let's finish on racing.
No gaming chair though.
We like racing. I like racing.
Minus 50 DKP. No gaming chair.
Oh no, it's a Herman Miller, Paul. It's the ultimate gaming chair. You yourself said so.
No, it's not a Herman. I'm sitting in a Herman Miller. That's
all right. All right. I stand, by the way, guys. I like to stand when I do this.
Damn. All right, William. I like racing. Collis. Lamborghini enters esports with the real race competition. So they announced this competition. Top sim racers all around the world driving, replica Lamborghinis in Assetto Corsa Competizione. And I'm not sure how much money's on the line. I don't think they said. Yeah, they didn't say in the article. But this is a big brand, huge brand.
Yep.
I wouldn't say Lamborghini is kind of the quintessential racing car brand. Like, I think Ferrari and Porsche have more pedigree there. But it's interesting that they're taking a very much a leadership position in terms of the racing sim market and taking advantage, I think, of a lot of the hype right now around racing sims. What do you make of it, William? You think this is smart? You think Lamborghini should stick to, what they do best? I don't know.
No, I'm all in, dude. I don't know how.
Like, why isn't Oxygen doing more racing sim stuff?
TBD, Paul. TBD. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
That's all I'm going to say. I am a big believer in racing. Like, I look, independent of Oxygen and what Oxygen, it's because it goes back to, and this is a thesis we share, right? Like the convergence of digital and physical, right? And it's going to happen first in racing. You are so close. The experience is so close today in a good state of the art, like racing setup. It is. It's like you're not that far from pretty much having 100% verisimilitude. Like you're not that far. And candidly, like, I don't know if anybody else has had this experience. I still see Project Cars images and I can't tell if the screenshots are real, or I'm being honest. Like I've never had that experience anywhere else. I genuinely cannot tell with some Project Cars images, right? And that's another thing, Paul. We can play a game, Project Cars or promotional slot shot from a car company, because it's tough. We're very close to getting there.
Let's come back to the brand here, though. I think what worries me is massive fragmentation in this space, right? Lamborghini has their own thing. NASCAR has their own thing. The Rally whatever league has their own thing. F1 has their own thing. BMW has their own thing. Porsche has its own thing, right? Like, to me, this is probably the most fragmented space in gaming of all, and in esports.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like, even I don't really know. I couldn't paint an accurate picture of the landscape anymore.
And it's
just
weird
so much.
It's weird for the size, right? Like, this is the challenge, and this is where I don't know. I mean, this is just a strange one. I think it's like everybody wants to do it at once, and the barriers for entry are so low. But yeah, it is. If there is a risk to this, you're right. It's that at the end of this year, are you going to be able to say who won the world championship? Because there's going to be like 9 of them, right?
Like which one? And then not only are there like more well-established leagues, but now a million kind of like exhibition kind of promotional races, right? Hey, we got Max Verstappen to go and do a race, so for charity, 50 grand, something, right? Like, and there's a bunch of these one-offs too. I worry if that fragmentation, again, kind of like the cloud gaming thing, it becomes the space becomes so complex that it turns people off, essentially.
It does, yeah.
I mean, Cam made a good argument. When it was on TV, it was well received. People didn't hate it on TV, which is very 100%. Different from Overwatch League. I don't know if you remember when Overwatch League aired on ABC, there was a lot of very negative comments online. A lot.
I remember. But as we said on the podcast, I'm not entirely sure many people realized it wasn't real racing. Like, I truly, but yeah, look, I don't know. I mean, you're right. I hadn't thought about the fragmentation in this space being a problem, but that's about it, So that's about it, right? Like, yeah.
But that and I you don't need to reveal anything, but when Oxygen is looking at the space, to me, that becomes an even bigger problem. Where do you play?
Yeah.
Where do you choose to play?
And I'm not saying Oxygen is or isn't looking at the space, but I am saying like it would be hard for anyone who's looking at entering this to quite know the right way to enter right now, right? Like, and then, the other thing is, I mean, just imagine selling sponsorships against this much fragmentation. Like, that's hard, right? Like, it's bad enough to get viewership metric numbers in esports. Try taking these blended league numbers to people and explaining that the average viewership is the Lamborghini competition averaged against 2/3 of the Ferrari competition plus the NASCAR number. I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
So which one is William, I Like Racing Collis going to enter as a competitor?
If I could enter anyone myself, I would do. Honestly, Paul, I don't know. Whichever one you tell me to. You like cars, you pick it. I'll do it. I'll go. Why don't we do a race?
F1.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Why race anything else? You start right at the top.
I don't know, Paul.
The pinnacle of motorsport.
The last time I did racing was Wipeout, and it was pretty awesome.
What's interesting to see? One of the things because I am a big racing fan, and before I moved to New York, actually used to race a lot of cars. You find a guy like Charles Leclerc, who is the number one driver for Ferrari in F1, and he's been doing a lot of sim racing and winning, but he's actually been winning in sim racing that's not F1, right? So like he did the rally competition and he's won that, and he's done NASCAR and he's won that, and he's done he's done a bunch of these other non F1 racing, and it's interesting because in some ways it allows these athletes who are just incredibly talented drivers to cross boundaries that are impossible to cross in the real world. Like he can't race an F1 car on a Sunday and then the next week go race NASCAR. Like that could never happen. But in sim racing, you can. And if you're a talented driver, you're probably good at both.
Yeah, you probably are. That's fair. So
you get these crossover athletes, right? Which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, and probably too, I mean, particularly for these guys where risk is such a factor, right? Like that's the other reason why I'm super bullish on this in the long term, by the way, is like the risks for racing, like I know there aren't that many accidents nowadays, but the reality is it's incredibly dangerous. If you could have the exact same experience with none of the risk of crashing, like, I mean, that from an athlete perspective, that's the dream, right? Like, this is the sport where it matters the most safety because so much is on the line. You know, also it's true. Somebody might be Cam again with a good point said cost as well. It's true. Cost for these things is ridiculous. Although the one part of racing I do get, regular racing, is the fun of the tech innovation around like the engines and the design of the cars and stuff. I think that's pretty neat.
Real racing is expensive, right? You go out just for a few hours on a weekend, you blow through a set of tires that could cost you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah. It's
expensive. But good sim racing is also really expensive, like can be real. Like you can buy, there are companies like Prosumu who sell online ridiculous sim setups with VR. You're sitting in an old F1 cockpit that they've repurposed. It's all on, motion things, and they have all the vibration and all the G forces and everything. Like you can go crazy. You can go nuts. I've never seen any, I don't know anyone who actually owns one, but you can buy them. You're talking tens and tens of thousands of dollars. But you're right, to get into sim racing, like literally for a few $100, you can have pretty great equipment that will give you a very good feel.
Yeah. Honestly, I bought some driving stuff to play with my son, actually, for like a basic game like Crew 2 or something. And for $300, we built a pretty impressive home setup. Like it was not, I mean, like, I don't think it's close to real life. It's nowhere near, but like, I was stunned at how realistic it can feel if you put a wheel, a stick shift, a chair, and a couple, and some sort of folding panel up. Like, you get like 70% of the way there real quick,
I love my BCam says VR pit crew.
Yeah.
Who's that? How awesome of a VR game would that be? You sit in the pits, you wait for an hour while other people race,
truck simulator, Paul, and train simulator, farm simulator,
to change a tire, only to then sit back and watch the rest of the race.
People will do it. People will do it. It's like running supported League of Legends. People enjoy it,
Martin Barnes says, I think the racers enjoy the danger of it too, though, right? Surely that's a factor. Yeah, you're going to get adrenaline junkies, and that's impossible to replicate in a sim. Like, the way I drive when I'm racing in a sim versus in a real car, it's a totally different person. Like in the sim, I know if I hit the wall, like nothing's going to happen. In the real world, if I hit that wall, I'm not going home. Like, you can bet I'm going to go around that corner 3% more leisurely.
Yeah. You're going to,
I would in the sim.
But
that's the fun part about the sim, though. It allows me to drive at the limit in a way, because I'm not a professional race car driver and I don't do it for a living. I have to go home and work a real job, right? Like, I cannot drive a car at that limit in the real world, but in the sim I can.
And by the way, which one do you think is the better viewer experience? The one where you're pushing it to the max every lap, or the one where you're cutting it a little safe, And by the way, like, this is something people talk about, but they, there's the joke, people watch NASCAR for the crashes, right? The reality is, like, crashes, I think, are a part of the viewer experience. Imagine how many crashes you can have in virtual racing. Imagine how much more. I'm serious. Imagine how much more they could be part of the experience.
That's where they need to improve on the crashes, because they're not realistic enough.
I know, Paul. I know. Yeah.
We need better crash physics. Look, guys, we've gone through everything. Thank you for tuning into this live stream. Unless anyone has any questions, anything they want us to talk about, please send them to us. We will try and cover them, like on next week's live stream. We will try and discuss anything that you, the viewer, want to discuss. We really want to make this more interactive week to week. Hopefully it gets better week to week. Hopefully we're improving. If you have any feedback on the style of the show, on the format, on the topics, please send that to us as well. Again, we welcome any and all feedback. William, did you have fun?
Hey, Paul, I always have fun with you, and I really mean that, right? Like, I mean that. It's always a blast.
Are you going to go play Valorant now? Is that what you're going to go do?
Heroes of the Storm, probably, but honestly, can I tell you what I got the
pop-up, you logging into BattleNet.
Oh, can you see it? Can you see that my battle's on it? Curses, you caught me. But like, in all seriousness, no, like at least you know I'm genuine. Like there's unfortunately it's real. No, honestly,
but I also know it's a real sickness. I'm like, no, he's not playing at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. No one plays Heroes of the Storm. Never mind at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. Come on.
People, one person does. Yeah, but yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, Martin Barnes says Burnout 3 crash animations. That is a great thing to end the podcast on. Those were incredible. So I think if there's one thing you take away from this podcast, it's play Burnout 3. It's awesome.
No, the one thing to take away is go pre-order.
Oh, that's right.
The Book of Esports. How am I selling this book better than you are? I would like to get credit for my sales.
Paul, you get it all. You get it all,
this
buddy.
This is not fair. I'm selling your book here.
I know. I don't know what to tell you other than you do such a good job at it. You do such a good job.
I'm so well paid. One of
the first lessons of good sales is always let the best salesman talk, right? So take it as a compliment, right?
Make sure you go pre-order William's book. It really is good. He really is. I say this with all the love in the world. He's an amazing author. It's such a fun read. It's such a fun history of gaming, but so much knowledge that lets you think about what the future holds for the industry.
Drop some bombs. All right, guys.
Yes, no, it's great. So
it is. I like it.
Tune in next week, guys. Again, we're going to keep the same format. We're going to record the podcast every Wednesday, and we're going to do this live stream every Wednesday, hopefully around the same time, 6:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every single week. Please tune in next week. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you guys next week.